This footage hides a disturbing secret. It was recorded in Orlando, Florida on October 17, 2015. The girl you see running here is 27-year-old Sasha Samsudean. The man following her is 33-year-old Stephen Duxbury. He is the building's security guard, but he's not here to protect her. Mere hours after this was recorded, Sasha was found murdered in her apartment.
Suspicious death of a 27-year-old Orlando woman. Sasha Samsudean's body was found Saturday night inside of her apartment at Uptown Place.
In the days following the murder, the detectives questioned Sasha's closest friends and family, desperately searching for her killer. Little did they realize, the one responsible had been right in front of them the whole time. And if they didn't act quickly, he might strike again.
The person who's supposed to take care of her is the person who killed her.
It was almost like out of a scene of a horror movie.
Did you enter Sasha's apartment that night?
The year is 2015. 27-year-old Sasha Samsudean works as a social media manager for a real estate agency in Orlando. She uses social platforms to link apartment seekers with various housing communities.
You want me to start talking? Ready to go? Yeah. Hey guys and girls, I'm Sasha here. I don't know what sorry. It's okay.
Sasha's beautiful. She just has a unique look to her, and her smile would light up a room.
I think a lot of people underestimated Sasha. They would see a pretty face. I don't think that they understood just how smart she was.
On October 17th, Sasha is all set to attend the last home soccer game of the season with her friend Anthony. After the final whistle, they head back to the bars at Wall Street Plaza to celebrate the win and have some fun.
We felt like letting our guard down and just having a good time. Sasha, who's always dancing, always the life of the party, she got along with everybody.
You look around and there's drinks, there's men trying to meet women, women trying to meet men. This is just another night on the town for this group.
After several hours of dancing, around 12:30 a.m., Sasha decides to go back to her apartment. A little while later, Anthony chooses to call it a night and heads home as well. Little does he realize, this is the last time he sees Sasha alive.
I sent her a text message asking if she was okay. I didn't hear back, so I assumed that she was hungover, still sleeping.
Sasha is someone who's always active on social media, constantly posting. But today, there's nothing, which is totally unlike her. Worried, Anthony decides to bring along two of her friends to check on her at her apartment and make sure everything is fine. Once they arrive at the parking garage, they notice Sasha's car parked in its usual spot.
She was supposed to go to a baby shower that day, and we noticed that the gift was still in the back of the car. It was at that point where I started getting really suspicious that something was very wrong.
They choose to knock on her door, but no one responds. Growing concerned, they quickly dial 911.
I need to fill out a missing persons report.
Where are you right now?
We're at her apartment at 911 North Orange Avenue. Her name is Sasha Samsudean. I last saw her at 1 in the morning.
Is this peculiar for her? Has she not done this before? Is she suicidal? Do you think she would hurt herself or others?
Absolutely not.
I'd let them know that we called every hospital, called every jail, that we went to her door to go knocking, that we saw her car.
When officers from the Orlando Police Department arrive at her apartment, they find no signs of forced entry. The door appears completely intact, equipped with both a standard key lock and a digital lock. After some time, the officers gain access using the digital code provided by the unit's owner. Two officers enter and begin their search for Sasha within the apartment. As one of them steps into the master bedroom, something catches his eye, a hand sticking out from under the comforter. Sasha Samsudean has been murdered.
Everybody is considered in the arena of possible suspects until we can identify who the primary and true suspect is.
We were waiting for the response from the officers to see if they found her inside of her apartment. And just based on the body language of the officer that was approaching me, I knew right away. The emotions were a lot of confusion, a lot of anger, a lot of disappointment, and I didn't know how to handle it.
Sasha's mom, Tara, texted me that morning and told me that Sasha was gone, that Sasha had died. It didn't seem real at first. I thought, surely this is not what I think it is.
Back at the apartment, The CSI team and detectives rush to examine the scene. They search carefully for DNA, fingerprints, and anything that seems off. They realize that Sasha's purse, phone, and key fob have disappeared. They notice clear marks on her neck, pointing out that she was strangled. With no clear reason for such injuries, homicide detectives step in. As soon as they step inside the apartment, a strange smell hits them.
There was an unusual smell of cleaning supplies. There was an open door to one of her cupboards where cleaning supplies were kept. One of the things that is suspicious about smelling cleaning supplies on someone is that chemicals like bleach can destroy DNA evidence.
They step into the bathroom where the toilet seat lid is up. Under it, they discover 2 severed fingertips. Partial shoe prints mark the floor, but there's no evidence of a break-in. This leads them to think that Sasha may have let someone in, or the person had their own way inside. When the medical examiner arrives, they carefully pull back the comforter, fully revealing the condition of Sasha's body.
Based on her pants being gone, her underwear being gone, and her top being torn, now you stop thinking about property crimes because of her phone and her keys and start thinking about a violent crime or a sexual crime. So at this point in time, we are beyond understanding that she is just deceased and have a lot more cause to believe that she was killed.
Sasha's body arrives at the medical examiner's lab, where it undergoes an autopsy and deeper investigation. Meanwhile, detectives turn their attention to tracking down potential suspects. Since there are no signs of forced entry, they begin by looking at Sasha's inner circle. Their first step is bringing Anthony Roper in for questioning.
Let's talk about the last time you saw her. When was that?
At 12:30 in the morning, October 17th. We were at Attic nightclub. It was crowded, it was hot, so she told me she was leaving. That's the last time I saw her.
How long did you stay out?
Stayed out till that place closed, 2 in the morning.
2 in the morning. Where did you go after that?
We walked from the attic to my place.
When was the last time you were in Sasha's apartment?
I want to say 2 or 3 weeks ago. That was a while ago.
Did you ever come back here last night once she wasn't responding?
No, I did not.
Okay.
The detectives must verify his account to rule him out as a suspect. After confirming his story, their focus shifts to the building's security system. The guard on duty mentions that multiple surveillance cameras cover the premises, with cameras positioned at every entrance, exit, and along the stairwells. But before reviewing the footage, they question him to see if he noticed anything unusual during his shift that night.
She was trying to get into the building while I was doing a perimeter patrol, and she didn't have any ID or her key fob that would have allowed her to gain access into the building.
So what happens then?
She was still kind of fumbling around with the call box while I was talking to 2 ladies, and another gentleman came up and buzzed himself in, and she went in after him. Eventually, she did make it to her apartment, and she was trying to use the digital key number, but it wasn't working. And at this point, I'm like, I gotta keep doing my job and gotta do another sweep. When I came back, she wasn't there.
With a new possible lead, the police request access to the guard's home, so the Orlando Police Department can collect a pair of his shoes. He agrees, but after careful examination, the shoes are ruled out as a match to the prints found in her apartment. While waiting for the building's CCTV footage to arrive, investigators shift their focus to Sasha's route home from the nightclub. They know that she left the club around 12:30 a.m.
Eventually, the iris cameras were able to pick up Miss Samsudean because she was wearing white pants that evening. It didn't appear that there was anybody that was following her. She appeared to be alone.
They continue to watch the video. That's when they notice something strange.
You see Sasha running. There was actually a glitch in the system that lost visual footage of Sasha for approximately 6 seconds. When we could finally re-catch Sasha's image, you see her walking casually with 2 women.
The detectives need to track down these 2 women, hoping they can provide more information. They waste no time and share the case with the public. As soon as the story hits the local news, it rapidly spreads, capturing attention across the nation and making headlines worldwide.
Sasha's murder was the top story in Orlando. It was everywhere.
At last, the media spotlight brings results. 2 young girls who recognized Sasha on the news step forward. They are taken to the police station for an interview.
You guys know her? Or?
No, we were downtown on Friday night, but as we were leaving, saw her walking by herself, and was very concerned, just because she seemed extremely intoxicated. And there was a car of men who had rolled down their window and started to talk to her. I walked up and kind of took her arm and said, like, do you know where you're going? And you could tell she didn't really know what was going on.
Seeing that she had too much to drink, they invited her to join them in the Uber. She didn't have her ID or phone with her, but they could tell she needed some help then.
You guys did bring her back up to the...
So we get to the red light at Orange and Marks, and she, as soon as the car stopped, she like left out of the car and ran across the street to Uptown Place. So she's like, this is where I live. We're like, oh, well then that's perfect. Like, she didn't remember enough to tell us, but she recognized it when she saw it.
Once they arrived at Sasha's building, they hopped out of the Uber and helped her make her way to her apartment. Sasha headed straight for the keypad, searching for her name on the screen. At that moment, the security guard suddenly appeared at the entrance.
What Julie and Haley told the police did actually line up with Stephen Duxbury's statement, that they were all there trying to get Sasha in. She couldn't find her phone to call herself. She didn't have a key fob. The last time Haley and Julie see Sasha is after she kind of scampers in after the other resident opens the gate.
Following this, the detectives managed to obtain the building's CCTV footage. They begin their investigation by examining the footage from the entrance cameras.
The way these video cameras worked is they were triggered by motion. So the first relevant footage from the cameras inside of the Uptown Place is at about 1:46 in the morning.
On the surveillance video, you can hear an unknown male voice asking her whether or not she's okay, and her answering back that she was. The next bit of footage showed her entering a stairwell a couple of minutes later at about 1:48 and going up the stairs. And with the audio, particularly in a cement stairwell, you could really hear her flip-flops.
In the video, it seems Sasha is walking alone, with no one following her. At precisely 2:06, a second camera inside the building captures her again. But this time, she can be seen running. As the footage progresses, a familiar face appears. It's Stephen Duxbury, the building's security guard. In his interview, Stephen explained that he caught up with Sasha and offered assistance, suggesting they headed to her apartment. According to him, Sasha believed her keys were left in her car. So, detectives switch over to the footage covering the parking garage to verify his story.
At 2:25, the pair are seen walking towards the first floor parking garage. This corroborates the security guard's story that he's helping Sasha find her key fob.
The police confirm his story and turn their attention to the building's resident, who opened the door for Sasha. This resident, identified as Todd Miller, is soon brought in by detectives for questioning.
I was out with some cousins at a bar, came home, and there were some people at the door. Okay. They were cute. I said, all right, let them in. One went my direction, the others went, I think, the other direction. One girl was pretty drunk, and then I got in my elevator, and I never saw him again.
Did you leave at any point later on that night?
Yes, sir.
The detectives rewind the footage once more. Right after Todd lets Sasha in, they part ways, each heading in different directions. With this, the detectives rule out Todd as a suspect and continue with their investigation. So far, the detectives confirmed alibis for Anthony's friends from the bar and investigated everyone Sasha interacted with earlier that day. Digital crime experts attempt to retrieve her phone records, but their efforts come up short. They do, however, recover her iPad, but it's secured with a pin. After some effort, they finally unlock the device, allowing them to dive into the data within.
Once we were able to get into that system, we found out that the iPad had been synced with her iPhone. And I was able to locate the last communication that she transmitted at 5:12 in the morning, which was to Ben Robach. She simply sent the name Ben to that contact.
I'm in jail. They keep jail. Come on. Are you cold? You okay?
I'm all right. It's a little chilly in here.
It is chilly. I'm glad I'm not the only one.
Yeah.
How do you know?
We went to high school together. We were boyfriend and girlfriend for a couple of years back in college, and still friends and acquaintances up until she died, passed away.
Okay. What was your relationship prior to her prior to her death?
Yeah, I mean, we'd hang out every so often. We'd meet up, downtown somewhere and hang out and grab a drink. She'd come over sometimes. If I was having a tough day, she'd give me some advice, and we'd hang out and talk. And so we were close friends. She was there to support me when I needed it, and vice versa. So, yeah.
When was the last time you seen her?
I saw her Thursday night. We went out downtown.
Ben claims they texted until around 1 a.m. on the night she passed away. Then, at exactly 5:12 a.m., a new message appeared on his phone with a single word: Ben.
And then I responded about 16 minutes later, and I never heard back from her after that.
Why did you ask if she was okay?
Just because, she said my name and just my name, and that's not typical for her to just say Ben. Like, I want to make, and it's late, maybe she's been drinking. Want to make sure if she needs a ride or something, I can, get her home safely if I can. But I checked on her just because it's what we do for each other.
Ben responded to Sasha's message with a text, but began to feel uneasy when she didn't reply. The next day, Anthony called Ben, sounding concerned, and asked if he had any idea where Sasha might be. This lines up with what Anthony told the detectives. At the end of questioning, the detectives request a DNA sample from Ben.
Do you have any problem giving us a buccal swab?
I'm sorry?
A buccal swab?
What's that?
It's like a DNA swab of your inside of your mouth.
Yeah, no, not a problem.
Okay.
I'm just happy to help in any way I can.
We appreciate that.
We do appreciate it. But prostate cancer runs in my family, so.
Just kind of relax your lips there a little bit.
You don't need to photograph anything.
No.
Okay.
That was simple. I'm glad you took the time to come here, save us some time, because we have a long night tonight.
I hear you.
Thank you, young man.
Absolutely.
I'll walk you down.
Okay, appreciate it.
Peace out.
And Ben Roebuck was able to be eliminated. His DNA and fingerprints didn't match the fingerprints and DNA that were recovered in her apartment and on her.
Following this, the detectives turned their attention to Sasha's ex-boyfriend, Taylor Unsinger, hoping he might provide more details about Sasha.
Prior to dating, did you guys know each other?
For probably about a month, we knew each other before we actually started dating.
Okay. Was it a serious relationship?
Oh yeah, it definitely was.
Okay.
When did you guys break up?
End of March.
This year?
Yes.
Okay, so end of March 2015. That time, did she see anybody else?
She didn't really share any, information about who she was dating or who she was seeing.
Okay. How did you feel about that?
That was fine with me. It's, her personal life at this point. I mean, we were, not together anymore.
Understand.
So we weren't exclusive or anything like that, so.
For 2 years, Taylor and Sasha were a couple, but their relationship ended in March. Detectives need to know Taylor's whereabouts on the night of the crime, so he shares his account with them.
Do you know where you were last Saturday?
Last Saturday?
Yes.
I was at work.
Okay.
In the morning or?
Around 1 o'clock in the morning.
Let's say late Friday evening or early Saturday morning.
I was home. I got off of work Friday night at about 9:30. I had bartended because there were some bartenders that needed to take some time off, so I picked up a shift for them and I went home. And
do you have any problem giving us a buccal swab of DNA?
I have no problem.
Okay.
The police send the swab from the buccal for analysis and immediately start looking into Taylor's alibi. His story holds up, and the lab confirms his DNA doesn't match. With no further leads linking him to the case, the police rule Taylor out as a suspect.
Investigators are getting really frustrated. They keep getting doors open, but these doors are leading nowhere. It's almost like they've come full circle and they're right back to where they started from on Saturday night and Sunday morning.
With each passing hour, the chances of catching the killer grow slimmer. So far, detectives have questioned several suspects, went through security footage repeatedly, but they still come up empty-handed. But then, on the third day after the murder, the account of one of Sasha's neighbors changes everything.
I know something's wrong. It's Monday morning. When I wake up, I turn on the news, and I saw about Sasha Samsudean's dead in her apartment. Then I'm thinking, I gotta tell somebody, I gotta talk to somebody. Maybe the police can help with the investigation if I say something. The police asked me to do a statement, and I say yes.
Clayton recalls spotting Sasha early Saturday morning, close to 2 a.m., on the building's 4th floor. That night, he headed out to take care of his laundry. As he moved down the hallway, he heard some footsteps. First, he caught sight of Sasha, and then, roughly 10 feet behind her, walked the security guard.
He looked at you? Yeah, he looked at me. Say anything to you? No, just look at me and continue to follow her. Did you see anybody else in the hallway at that time? No, nobody at all.
I told the police, he knows something. He knows something.
The detectives decide to re-examine the CCTV footage, determined to uncover any overlooked details. After reviewing hours of the surveillance video, they make a big discovery. Duxbury reported clocking out at 6 a.m., but the footage at 6:39 a.m. reveals him carrying 2 large garbage bags. The detectives immediately recognize these bags from Sasha's apartment. They then check into Duxbury's work records to determine if such behavior is typical for him.
We could see that that was not a normal pattern. Stephen would photograph the trash that was left outside the tenants' apartments and put that in his report because that was a violation of the rental agreement that you can't leave trash outside your apartment.
When reviewing all of his security reports, what it showed was that he did not take people's trash out. He wrote people up for leaving their trash out.
Investigators believe security guard Stephen Duxbury may be connected to Sasha's murder. They ask Duxbury if he wants to submit to a polygraph test. Determined to prove his innocence, he agrees.
And so, when was the first time you found out that she was deceased? It was later on that evening. About what time? I honestly don't remember. I remember them saying that they, initially when they told me something was going on, they said, well, we have a crime scene. That's all we're telling you.
The details of how Sasha died are not known to the public. Authorities have never revealed that Sasha was strangled. At this stage, there is no way Duxbury should have any knowledge of that fact if he isn't the killer.
Was she shot with a .22? No. Was she stabbed? No. Was she choked? No. Was she shot with a .38? No. Was she hit with a hammer? No. Was she hit with a chair? No. Okay.
When someone reacts on a polygraph test to a particular question, that would indicate that there's stress pertaining to that question. When it came time to score the polygraph charts, I had printed out each chart and laid them out before Stephen Duxbury. And I had him assist me in scoring these charts, which was amazing.
That's what I can tell you, and that's all I can tell the detectives. That there is something there that you're not being 100% honest about. Now, if she invited you in to have a few drinks or something like that, or whatever it was, you need to be honest about it because this is saying you know something and that something happened. 0.003% chance that the result was produced by a truthful person. And 0.003% chance that you were truthful on this test today.
After reviewing the polygraph results, the detective's turn come in the room and ask Stephen to recount again what happened.
So, even though she wasn't flirting with me, I mean, other than, leaning against me in the hallway because she could barely stand, she wasn't flirting with me. She never flirted with you. No. She never asked you to come inside the apartment. No. I take my job seriously, and when my job says I'm not allowed to go into someone's apartment, I don't go into someone's apartment. The only time I would ever go into someone's apartment is with a detective like yourself, or a police officer, or an EMT or something, someone that I have to go in with because, doing something within my duties.
As the detectives continue pressing Stephen with questions about his lies, he requests a lawyer, forcing the interview to come to an end. The polygraph results lead to the approval of a search warrant for his home. Inside, they discover a pair of shoes belonging to Duxbury. The shoes match the prints taken from Sasha's apartment, confirming their suspicions. However, the discovery on his phone turns out to be the key piece of evidence.
It was Stephen Duxbury's intent to get rid of the history on his phone, but I was able to get what's called a physical extraction, so I've got all the information that was stored on his memory chip. I found multiple internet searches related to the Quickset digital deadbolt, which is the same digital keypad system that are on the doors of all the apartments within the Uptown apartment complex.
One of the final searches is for the override code to a quick-set digital deadbolt just moments before Sasha is killed.
And these searches were done all within a 10-minute window right around 5 in the morning on the morning of the 17th when Sasha was murdered.
On October 30th, 2015, just 2 weeks after Sasha's passing, authorities take Stephen Duxbury into custody, charging him with first-degree murder and attempted sexual assault. Investigators collect a DNA sample from Duxbury, which matches unidentified DNA discovered on Sasha Samsudean's chest. His trial starts in November 2017. After 7 days, the jury ultimately finds Duxbury guilty on all counts. He receives 2 life sentences, with an extra 15 years added to his punishment.
The way I presented the evidence to the jury at trial was very chronological. It was fantastic to have all that video to help tell the story of where she was and when downtown. And then it paints a picture of all of her movements inside of the apartment complex. It's just a tragic story of somebody who invaded somebody else's personal space in the most awful way and then took that person's life.
I still talk about Sasha, and I remember having a dream, and in the dream it was so real, and I remember her just giving me this sense that she's okay, and I think that's been important to me, that I know that I'll see her again one day, and that she's okay, and that she's still there with us.